I never thought I'd kill my own mother. Not literally. Anyway, but in the cutthroat game of Wall Street whispers and Silicon Valley shadows, you learn quick that fortunes are built on the graves of reputations. The day I woke up in her skin, staring at my old reflection in the penthouse mirror, I knew the swap wasn't some cosmic joke. It was the universe handing me the knife. And damn if I wasn't going to twist it slow. Her name was Victoria Hale, my mother, the iron-fisted queen of Hale Ventures, who'd clawed her way from a Jersey trailer park to owning half the tech startups bleeding red ink in the Bay Area.
Me?
Freya Hale, the black sheep daughter she'd shipped off to community college because you lack the killer instinct. Sweetie. That was her polite way of saying I was soft. A dreamer fiddling with indie apps in a Brooklyn walk-up while she raked in millions betting on the next unicorn. But secrets have a way of bubbling up like bad coffee. And ours? It was a poison that had festered for 28 years. It started with the accident, or what she called the accident. I was 6, riding shotgun in her BMW on the FDR Drive. Rain slicking the city like a bad omen. She was late for a pitch meeting, cursing under her breath about some rival VC who'd undercut her on a deal. The truck came out of nowhere, hydroplaning across lanes, smashing into us broadside. I blacked out to the symphony of crumpling metal and her scream, sharp, like shattered glass. Woke up in the ER with a fractured skull and amnesia that doctors said was psychosomatic. But the real kicker? The blood work. Mine showed anomalies, toxins. They whispered later. The kind that mimic a hit from a street dealer. Mom hushed it all. Paid off the right people. And I got shipped to shrinks who fed me pills and platitudes. Years later, piecing it together from redacted files I'd hacked as a bored coder, I realized she'd dosed me. A little helper she'd slipped into my sippy cup that night. Some experimental nootropic from one of her shady biotech investments gone wrong. It was meant to sharpen her edge for the meeting, hyperfocus. They called it, but she'd miscalculated the dose for a kid. The crash? Her swerving to dodge a phantom tailgater, high as a kite on her own supply. I took the fall, brain damage that left me with migraines and a stutter under stress, the kind that tanked job interviews and made her parade me as her tragic inspiration at galas. All while she built an empire on the very drugs that fried my wiring. Betrayal like that doesn't fade. It ferments. By 25, I was scraping by as a freelance dev, ghost coding algorithms for the apps she funded. Ironic,
Right?
invisible labor propping up the woman who'd buried my potential under her Prada heels. Then came the swap. No hocus-pocus ritual. Just cold, hard science from one of her black-budget labs, neural mapping tech, meant for executives to try on virtual realities.
But Dr.
Elias Crow, her pet neuroscientist, a weasel with a god complex and a gambling debt, saw dollar signs in permanence. He pitched it as a legacy transfer, upload Victoria's mind into a clone body, download a younger version into hers for continuity. She laughed it off at first. But when the SEC started sniffing around her offshore accounts, paranoia set in. What if I need to vanish? She'd slurred over scotch one night, not knowing I'd bugged her study. Crow flipped the script for me. For a cut of the action, 20% of whatever I built, he rigged the machine to lock her out. One night, during her routine scan at the lab in Jersey City, I slipped in as the night shift tech. Heart pounding like a bass drop at a Bushwick rave, I hit enter. Agony ripped through me, fire in my synapses. Memories colliding like rush hour traffic on the BQE. When the world reformed, I was her. 52. Botox smooth skin stretched over cheekbones I'd only seen in Vogue. A body that hummed with the efficiency of a well-oiled Tesla. And in the chamber across from me, my old shell, 28 and freckled, eyes fluttering open to a face that wasn't hers. Freya, her voice, my voice, cracked, small and scared. I leaned in, Victoria's manicured nails digging into the glass. Welcome to the boardroom.
Mom.
Your move. She didn't scream. Smart woman. Instead, she played it cool, demanding lawyers and NDAs, threatening to expose the whole op. But Crow had scrubbed the logs. And I had the kill switch, a viral backdoor in Hale Venture servers that could tank her stock in hours. We struck a deal over takeout Thai in the lab's break room, greasy pad, CEW that tasted like ash in my stolen throat. She'd live as me, the disgraced daughter, exiled to a modest queen's apartment, while I ran the show as Victoria Hale, the untouchable titan. Publicly, it was a sabbatical for her health. Privately, it was checkmate. The first months were a rush, like mainlining Red Bull after a bender. Stepping into her Louboutins felt like slipping into a superpower. Doors opened. Deals closed with a wink and a signature. I flew first class to Sand Hill Road, pitching to founders who'd once ghosted my cold emails. Victoria Hale doesn't chase, she selects. I'd purr, channeling her frostbite charm.
And the money?
It poured in like Niagara. I greenlit a fintech startup peddling microloans to gig workers, predatory as hell. But it tripled our portfolio in Q1. Critics called it debt traps for the desperate. I called it innovation.
Mom.
In my body, seethed from afar, firing off anonymous tips to the times that never stuck. You're ruining everything I built, she'd hiss over burner phones. I'd laugh, low and throaty in her voice.
No. Mom.
I'm just getting started. But revenge isn't a sprint. It's a marathon through moral quicksand. The deeper I dug into her empire, the uglier the roots. Hale Ventures wasn't just VC cash, it was a web of influence peddling. From bribing FDA insiders for her pharma plays to laundering cartel bucks through crypto shells. That nootropic that zapped me? It was the tip, Project Echo. A line of enhancers tested on undocumented workers in Texas maquiladoras. Dozens comatose. Families silenced with hush money. And the crash? Covered up with a $2 mill settlement to the trucker's widow, funneled through a fake charity. I had the files now. Encrypted drives she'd hidden in a Cayman safe, my ticket to dragging her name through the mud. Still, playing her war on me. Her body rebelled. Hot flashes at board meetings. A gallbladder flare-up mid-negotiation with a Saudi prince. And the mirror?
God.
The mirror. I'd catch glimpses of the old Freya in the lines around her eyes. A ghost reminding me this shell was borrowed time. Crow kept me patched, hormone tweaks, black market stem cells, but he was bleeding me dry, demanding bigger cuts as his bookie circled. You're in too deep. Freya, he'd warn, chain-smoking in his cluttered office overlooking the Passaic. Victoria's got tentacles everywhere. One wrong pull, and you're both fish food. I ignored him, doubling down. The controversial calls started small, axing a green energy fund because it clashed with her oil baron allies, even though it would have saved the planet a hiccup. Founders begged, tears in their eyes, this is our shot at real change, but I shut them down with a form letter, her signature flourish sealing the coffin. Then came the big one, acquiring Mindforge, a rival AI firm with ethics baked in. Their CEO, a bleeding heart Stanford alum named Raj Patel, fought dirty in the press, accusing Hale of soul-crushing monopolies. I countered with leaks, fabricated emails painting him as a data hoarder selling user souls to advertisers. The board ate it up. Stock soared 15%. But at night, in her silk sheets on Fifth Avenue, I jolt awake, tasting Raj's desperation like bile. Mom adapted faster than I expected. Posing as Freya the Flake, she networked in dive bars and co-working spaces, charming indie devs with tales of corporate escape. Whispers reached me. She was building a shadow collective, funneling talent away from my deals. One night, she cornered me at a gala in the Met's Temple of Dender, me in her emerald gown, her in my thrift store jeans, looking painfully young. "This isn't you, Freya," she murmured, champagne flute trembling. "You're becoming the monster you hate." I smirked, clinking glasses. Says the woman who turned her daughter into a vegetable for a promotion. Pass the caviar. The tension coiled tighter. Crow vanished 1 week. Bookies. Probably, leaving me to fend off his creditors with hush money. Then the SEC subpoena hit. Real this time. Probing Echo's trials. Mom saw her opening, tipping them anonymously with crumbs from our old life. I countered by framing a junior exec, planting docs in his cloud. He cracked under questioning, sobbing on CNN about pressure from the top. Victoria Hale's rep took a hit, headlines screaming, "Poison pill, the dark side of VC glory," but I spun it as a witch hunt, rallying allies with PAC donations. Controversial? Hell yes. The man's life imploded, suicide watch. Family in ruins, but in this game, collateral's just the cost of entry. Climax brewed in the Nevada desert, at a off-grid summit for the ultra-rich. Black site bunker disguised as a wellness retreat, where VCs like me hashed out the future over ayahuasca and NDAs. Mom infiltrated as my +1 assistant, her eyes burning with that old fire. We slipped away during a trust fall exercise, irony thick as the dust, into a service tunnel lined with humming servers. "End it," she demanded, voice echoing off concrete. Swap back. We both walk away legends or losers. I laughed, pulling a drive from my clutch, the full Echo dossier. Timestamps linking her to every coma. Legends? You mean felons? Sign over Hale Ventures. Or this hits WikiLeaks at dawn. She lunged, my old body wiry and desperate, clawing for the drive. We grappled, her nails raking my arm, drawing pinpricks of blood that weren't mine. Alarms wailed, security swarmed. In the chaos, she whispered the twist I'd half suspected. "It wasn't me. Freya."
Crow.
"He was yours. Your father." The world tilted. "Dad, gone when I was 3. Heart attack in Aruba." But the files I'd skimmed, his signature on Echo's charter. A ghost partner she'd erased. She'd dosed me to cover his embezzlement, framing the crash as fate. Betrayal inverted. I'd been avenging the wrong villain, building her empire on his bones. Sirens closed in. I could end her. Hit send on the drive. Watch empires crumble from adjacent cells. Or mercy. Delete it all. Swap back. Let the truth rot. Her eyes, my eyes, pleaded, a mirror of the girl I'd lost. In that moment, staring at the woman who'd stolen my spark but birthed my fire, I chose the gray. "You're fired, Mom," I said, voice steady in her timbre. "But the company's mine now." We emerged into the dawn, her arm in mine like old times. The swap reversed in a black market clinic outside Reno, pain like rebirth, synapses realigning under flickering fluorescence. I woke as Freya again, 28 and scarred, in a body that fit like a favorite hoodie. Victoria? She vanished into retirement, a ghost in Gushtad. Her fortune intact, but her throne mine. I rebranded Hale as Haleforge, ethical AI. Second chances for the overlooked. Raj Patel came aboard as CTO. We launched apps that empowered, not exploited. But the twist lingers. Dad's shadow? I buried it deeper, turning his sins into seed money for good. Mom calls sometimes, from Swiss numbers. Voice frail. Proud of you, kid.
Lies.
Maybe, but I let them soothe. Revenge wasn't destruction, it was reinvention. And in America's endless grind, where fortunes flip like pancakes and betrayals brew in boardrooms, that's the real killer instinct. The reinvention hit snags fast. Back in my skin, I stared at the mirror in that queen's apartment. Faded paint, radiator hissing like a resentful ex, and saw the toll. Wrinkles from her stress etched faint lines around my eyes. A souvenir from 52 years of cutthroat climbs. My hands, once nimble on keyboards, trembled from the neural echo, dropping coffee mugs like they were grenades. Freya Hale. Phoenix or fraud, the post splashed after my comeback presser, where I announced the pivot to conscious capitalism. Pundits debated, redemption arc or PR stunt. I leaned into the controversy, tweeting barbs at old guard VCs, time to trade caviar for conscience, racking up likes from millennials who'd burned out on hustle porn. Mom's absence was the real ghost. Whispers in the trades, Victoria Hale sighted in Monaco, yacht hopping with oligarchs, or holed up in a nunnery in upstate New York. I didn't chase. Instead, I weaponized the void. At the first Haleforge board meeting, in her old war room, now aired out with succulence and natural light, I laid out the purge. We're divesting from anything that smells like echo, I declared, voice steady despite the phantom stutter. The suits shifted, old lions like Harlan Voss, her consigliera with a Rolex that screamed insider trades. This is suicide. Girl, he growled, cigar smoke curling like a threat. Your mother's legacy was results, not rainbows. I met his gaze, channeling the ice she'd taught me. Legacy? Let's talk about the one where we dosed kids for quarterly gains. Gasps rippled. I'd leaked selective echo docs pre-meeting. Anonymous drops to their inboxes. Voss blanched, his signature on a consent waiver for a trial subject who'd OD'd. Checkmate. By week's end, he was out. Pension intact but NDA ironclad. The board fell in line, greenlighting my flagship, EchoRedemt, an app using AI to detect neural anomalies in at-risk youth. Free for clinics. Funded by liquidating her Cayman shells, poetic. Unloading dad's dirty laundry to wash the sins clean. But power's a drug. And withdrawal bit hard. Nights blurred into code binges, fueled by Adderall I'd swiped from her stash, irony's bitter pill. I'd wake on the office couch, screens glowing with metrics, user signups spiking. But trolls flooding forums with Freya's a plant, Victoria's puppet. Mom fanned the flames. I suspected. Her subtle sabotage like pinpricks. One deal cratered. A edtech startup bailed after she, as concerned citizen, emailed their founder with insider warnings about my instability. I traced the IP to a VPN in Bern. Cute. Mom, I muttered, firing back a cease and desist wrapped in sugar. Let's not air family laundry in public. The tension escalated at South by Southwest. That Austin fever dream where tech bros pitch salvation over craft IPAs. I keynote on Revenge of the Underdogs, Crowd roaring as I eviscerated the VC model. We bet on people, not pedigrees. Backstage, Raj pulled me aside, eyes earnest behind wire rims. This is bigger than us. Freya. But are you okay? You look haunted. Haunted. Yeah. By her memories seeping through, flashes of boardroom conquests, the thrill of crushing rivals. It made my ethical plays feel like cosplay. That night, over tacos al pastor at a food truck, I confessed fragments, the swap, the crash, omitting the patricide twist. He listened, no judgment, then slid a joint across the table. Burn it out. Tomorrow, we build.
We did.
Hale Forge exploded. Partnerships with Khan Academy. Grants from Gates Foundation. But controversy stalked like a bad review. Protesters picketed our SF office. Ex-Echo victims' families. Signs screaming blood money rehab. I met them on the steps. No security buffer. Handing out water bottles in the July heat. I was one of you, I said, voice cracking for real this time. Stories poured out. A mom's son vegetative from a focus pill, another kid's seizures misdiagnosed. I promised reparations, a $50 mill fund. No strings. Headlines flipped. Hale Air turns tables on toxic tech. Mom called that night. First in months. You're playing with fire. Freya. They'll eat you alive. Her tone. Worry. Or warning. Let them, I shot back. Better than choking on ashes. Deeper cuts came from within. Crow resurfaced. Not as ally but adversary, hiding in a Reno flophouse. Peddling swap tech on the dark web to desperate celebs. His pitch decks leaked. Eternal youth for the elite. $10 a pop. I hired PIs. But he slipped like smoke. Taunting via encrypted drops. Tell daddy's girl hi. The truth nod. He'd been my bio dad. A rogue chemist who'd romanced mom in lab coats. Then bolted with Echo's IP when audits loomed. She'd covered by sacrificing me, our crash a desperate bid to destroy evidence in the glove box. No accident. Engineered erasure. Rage boiled anew. But twisted. Was I avenging her? Or becoming her? The board fractured next. A whistleblower, Voss's mole, dumped internal chats showing my aggressive purges. Investors bolted. Stock dipped 8%. In crisis mode, I flew to Omaha, Buffett's backyard, begging Warren wisdom from a proxy lunch. Kid, the stand-in oracle drawled over steak. Fortunes ain't built on grudges. They're math with a side of mercy.
Mercy.
The word stuck like burrs. Back home, I extended olive branches. Voss reinstated as advisor, with a clause for Echo oversight. Controversial? The trades called it Stockholm Syndrome VC. But metrics rebounded, trust scores up, deals flowing. Mom's shadow loomed largest at Thanksgiving. I hosted in the penthouse. Turkey from a Hell's Kitchen butcher. Pies from Mama Fuka Milk Bar, inviting Raj, his sister. A ragtag of devs. Empty chair at the head. Her throne. Halfway through grace. The doorbell buzzed. There she stood, Victoria Hale. Flesh and blood. Silver streaks in her bob. Carrying a bottle of 82 Bordeaux like a peace flag. Truce, she said, lips quirking in that half-smile I'd coded into avatars. The table froze, Raj's fork hovered. I waved her in, heart hammering. Over cranberry sauce. Stories tumbled, her exile in Switzerland, therapy in Zurich, ghosts of dad's gambling sprees. I thought I was protecting you, she admitted, eyes wet. From him. From this world. Lies layered on truth. But for the first time, I saw the woman, not the witch. We didn't swap backstories that night, no teary confessions of the drive's contents. Instead, tentative alliance, she'd consult remotely, lend her Rolodex for ethical intros. As she left, hugging me awkward in the foyer, she whispered, "You're the killer I never was. Praise or poison." Dawn broke with emails, a fresh lead on Crow, courtesy of her old contacts. The game reignited, but now with blurred lines, family as frenemy, revenge as reinvention. Yet doubt festered. Was this closure? Or just intermission? In the quiet hours, scrolling X for hate scroll catharsis, I'd wonder, if I'd hit send on that dossier, would the world be cleaner? Or just chaos? America's promise. Pull yourself up. Rewrite the script felt fragile. A house of cards in a wind tunnel. But hell, I'd built one fortune on borrowed time. Now, in my own skin, I'd forge another. Brick by bloody brick. Winter clamped down on the city like a vice. Snow piling on the fire escapes outside my office window, muffling the honks from Broadway. Hail Forge was humming, Echo Redempt hitting 500K downloads. Features in Wired and the Journal, but the high was laced with paranoia. Crow's taunts escalated, parcels arriving at reception. Vintage lab vials filled with colored liquid. Notes scrawled in a spidery hand. Taste of home. I trashed them, but the PIs turned up squat. Just rumors of him holing up in a Salt Lake compound, preaching transhumanism to Mormon offshoots. Mom's intel dried up too, her calls sparse, laced with static from wherever she roamed. Focus on the winds. Freya, she'd say, evading my probes. Was she shielding him, our shared blood, or playing four-dimensional chess? The real storm brewed in D.C., where senators grilled big tech on neural privacy. I testified. Suits starched, palms slick under the hill's Klieg lights. Regulation without innovation is stagnation, I argued, dodging barbs about exoskeletons. Cameras caught my flinch when a Rhode Island rep flashed a photo, a comatose teen, victim of Hale's early trials. MS. Hale, how do you sleep knowing your family profited from this? The room held its breath. I leaned into the mic. Voice raw.
Poorly.
That's why we're leading the charge on safeguards. Applause trickled, polarizing. As always. Back on the Acela to Penn Station. Raj texted, nailed it. Dinner? I replied with a heart emoji. But inside, the swap's echo throbbed, a reminder that my authenticity was built on a lie. Controversy crested with the Patel partnership expansion. Raja's sister, Priya, a firebrand lawyer from Brooklyn Law, joined as ethics counsel. She uncovered a landmine, buried clauses in Mom's old contracts, evergreen NDAs binding ex-employees to silence on echo side effects. This is extortion. Priya fumed over dim sum in Chinatown, chopstick stabbing Hargao-like accusations. We sued to void them, high profile, with amicus briefs from ACLU heavyweights. The blowback was swift. Old allies ghosted. A Forbes piece dubbing me the VC Avenger. Hero or hypocrite? Trolls dox my address. Eggs splattering the lobby glass. Voss, reinstated but resentful, cornered me in the elevator. You're dismantling a dynasty for virtue points. Victoria would spit. I met his glare. Victoria's why I'm here. That why deepened one blizzard night. Holed up with Raj in my walk-up, now upgraded to a loft in Dumbo. Views of the bridges like skeletal promises. Wine flowed. Then confessions, his immigrant parents' sacrifices, my crash's phantom pains. We made love tangled in flannel sheets, his touch grounding the chaos. Morning brought clarity and encrypted file from an unknown sender. Crow's manifesto, railing against genetic prisons with blueprints for permanent swaps. Attached, a photo of Mom and him, arms linked at a long-ago conference. Her smile genuine. Dad's charm. Her ambition my blueprint. Rage surged, but so did pity. She'd loved him, lost him to vice, and I'd paid the toll. I mobilized a task force, hackers on retainer, even a tip to the FBI's cyber unit. But Mom beat me to the punch, phoning at 3 a.m. He's in Utah. Come alone. Her voice, steel wrapped in silk. I flew commercial, coach. To feel the squeeze, landing in Salt Lake's sterile glow. Renting a Subaru for the drive to his compound. Snow whipped the windshield, wipers slapping like accusations. The place was a fortified ranch, razor wire, solar arrays, guards with AR-15 slings. Mom waited at the gate, bundled in shearling, looking every inch the mogul reclaiming her throne. He's expecting us, she said. No hug, just a nod toward the main house.
Inside.
Crow lounged by a stone fireplace, thinner, wild-eyed, nursing a tumbler of something amber. Daughter dear, he crooned, rising with theatrical flourish. Or should I say, experiment. The room spun with relics, neural helmets on pedestals, monitors scrolling brainwave sims. Mom poured scotch, her hand steady. Elias. Enough games. Freya knows. He laughed. A wet hack. Knows? She thinks it's revenge porn. But it's evolution. Monologue mode. He'd swapped dozens, CEOs into interns. Heiresses into help for perspective shifts. Profited off the fallout. Betting against their crashes. And Dad? Not gambler. But idealist turned cynic. Killed by Mom's board in a car accident when he threatened exposure. The revelation landed like a gut punch. You covered for her, I accused. Throat tight. Crow smirked. Loyalty's a swap too.
Kid.
She kept your spark, barely. Mom's face crumpled. Just a flicker. I chose the firm over him. Over you. But Elias. He twisted it. The air crackled. Guards shifted. I saw the play. Endgame. Where blood bought silence. Give me the master key, I demanded, nodding at his terminal. Shut it down, or we all burn. He feigned reluctance. Fingers dancing keys, uploading a virus. I realized too late. Alarms blared, doors locked. Chaos erupted, fists, shouts, the crack of a guard's baton. Mom fought like a cornered cat, hurling a poker at Crow's knee. I grabbed a helmet, smashing it over a thug's skull, sparks flying. Irony electric. In the melee, Crow lunged for me, syringe glinting. One more swap. For old times. Mom tackled him, syringe plunging into his thigh, his own brew, eyes rolling back as he foamed. Guards fled as sirens wailed distant. We dragged out into the snow, his body cooling on the porch like discarded code. Cops arrived at dawn, statements blurring into lies. Intruders. Self-defense. Mom's lawyers descended like locusts, spinning narratives. Crow, DOA, Overdose on his own meds. The compound? Raided. Tech seized. Hale Forge consulted on the forensics. Scoring goodwill. But the cost? Mom's arm broken. My ribs bruised. And a bond reforged in blood. Driving back to SLC Airport. Her head on my shoulder. She murmured. Twists on us. Freya. We're the villains who won. Back east. Spring thawed the scandal. Echo-redempt testimonials flooded in, kids saved from spirals. Parents tearful on podcasts. Raj proposed over rooftop ramen. Ring from a Brooklyn jeweler. Simple gold. Etched with code. I said yes, laughing through tears. But endings aren't tidy in this country of reinventions. Mom resurfaced publicly, a TED Talk on failures as fuel, her cast a prop. Whispers. Was it staged? Crow a patsy? Forums debated. Hero's journey or Machiavellian merger? I let the noise fade, focusing on the build. Hale Forge went public, IPO bells ringing on NASDAQ. Confetti like digital snow. Mom stood beside me. Arm healed. Smile for the cameras. To new beginnings, she toasted later. In a quiet bar off Wall Street. Our glasses clinked. Bordeaux again. Tart on the tongue. Happy? Tragic?
Pick your poison.
In America's Grand Con, where swaps happen in boardrooms, not labs, revenge is just the entry fee. And damn if it didn't pay dividends. Summer scorched the asphalt, turning Manhattan into a pressure cooker where deals simmered and tempers boiled over. The IPO cash tsunami, $1.2 billion valuation, let me scale wild, pop-up clinics in Detroit's Rust Belt, AI tutors for rural schools, even a venture arm for ex-cons coding their comebacks. Pundits crown me, the conscience of capital, but the shine dulled quick. IRS audits hit. Probing Mom's gifts to the reparations fund, tax dodges. They claimed. I lawyered up, Priya leading the charge. But the stress migraines returned, ghosts of the crash pulsing behind my eyes. Raj noticed. Brewing herbal teas in our new Brooklyn brownstone. But his optimism grated sometimes. We're changing the game, he'd say, oblivious to the shadows lengthening. Mom dove back in, consulting from a pied a terra in the village, penthouse too flashy now. She claimed. Her insights were gold, navigating a merger with a Boston biotech, outflanking a hedge fund poaching talent. But trust? Fragile as rice paper. Late-night strategy sessions devolved into interrogations, me grilling her on Crow's final days. Her deflecting with anecdotes of Dad's charm. He'd have loved this. Freya, you're fire. Once. Buzzed on Negronis at Minetta Tavern. She admitted. The swap was my idea. To give you a taste, make you strong. Lie or love. I stormed out. Heels clicking fury on McDougal Street. Hailing a cab to nowhere. Controversy reignited with the Voss affair. Reinstated but simmering. He'd leaked to Axios. Freya's running a cult. Not a company. Echo chamber of ex-victims. Stock wobbled. Analysts downgraded. I fired him publicly. Press release laced with mutual parting, but privately. Offered a golden parachute if he'd recant. He refused. Going scorched earth on a Substack. Inside the Hale cult, swaps. Sins. And silicon lies. No proof. But innuendo flew, hints at body double, rumors from the swap era. Raj urged restraint. Sue and shut it down. Priya nodded. Defamation goldmine. But I chose controversy's blade, an AMA on X. Raw and unfiltered. Ask me anything, Crash. Crow. The works. Threads exploded. Supporters Leoneizing. Haters howling. Admission by silence. Answers poured in thousands. A digital deluge. I fielded the brutal. "Did you kill your dad?" Typed back. "No. But his ghost built this empire. Flaws and all. On Mom. She dosed me once.
Now?
She's my North Star. Crooked as it is." The backlash crested, a viral thread accusing me of trauma porn for clicks, but so did the surge. Downloads up 40%. Founders pitching in droves. Boss slunk away. Suing retracted in settlement. Victory tasted like vindication. But hollow, another layer of the con. Fall brought the wedding. A low-key affair in Prospect Park. Food trucks. String lights. Playlist heavy on Solange and Kendrick. Mom walked me down the aisle, her arm linked in mine. A role reversal that drew sniffles from Priya. Vows exchanged under oaks turning crimson. Raj promising code and coffee forever. Me vowing to debug the world. One line at a time. Honeymoon in Big Sur, clifftop hikes. Whale watches felt like exhale. His hand in mine grounding the vertigo. But even there, emails pinged. A tip on Crow's successors. A rogue cell peddling swaps in LA speakeasies. Later, I muttered. Deleting. For 1 week, Freya Hale was just a bride. Not a baroness. Reality crashed back with a boardroom coup. A faction, Mom's old guard. Voss loyalists circulated a proxy fight, nominating a steady hand to oust me, Elena Vasquez, a McKinsey alum with a rep for pragmatic pivots. Her platform? Back to basics. Profit over preaching. Leaks painted me as erratic. Post-swap stress. Whispers implying I'd cracked. Mom stayed neutral publicly, but her lunches with Elena raised flags. I confronted her over brunch at Balthazar, croissants crumbling like trust. "You're undermining me." She sipped espresso. Eyes cool. "Testing you, darling. Like I should have years ago." Betrayals echo. Or tough love. I walked. Resolve hardening. The fight turned ugly. Shareholder letters. SEC filings. A CNBC hit where Elena cooed. Freya's heart is gold. But Wall Street runs on green. I countered with data. Hale forged 300% ROI on ethical bets, rallying retail investors via TikTok breakdowns. Priya dug dirt. Elena's ties to Echo suppliers. Quid pro quo dinners. We dropped it anonymously. Her campaign stuttered.
But the twist?
Mom flipped at the 11th hour, endorsing me in a surprise op-ed. My daughter's the future I feared but needed. Motive? Guilt. Or grander game. Votes tallied in our favor, 62%, but scars lingered. Board diluted with my picks. Winter's chill deepened the rifts. Pregnant, surprise positive in a Dwayne Reed bathroom. Raj whooping like he'd won the lottery. I navigated glow-ups and nausea. Mom doted, sending organic kale from her CSA. But her gifts felt barbed, a neural scanner for the baby's brain health. I donated it. Crow's cell resurfaced too, raids in Hollywood netting gear. But no ringleader. One detainee spilled. Your old man started it all. Swaps for the stars. Dad's legacy.
Metastasizing.
Climax simmered at the holiday gala. Met steps glittering under chandeliers. Elena cornered me by the coat check. Champagne flew to prop. Graciously. Freya, but this isn't over. Mom intercepted, steering her away with viper charm. Later, on the balcony overlooking the park, she handed me a USB, Crow's full logs,
Swaps documented.
her signature conspicuously absent. End it. I plugged in later. In the penthouse hush, horror unspooling, not just elites, but coerced, trafficked minds in donor bodies, profits to shell core. Dad's blueprint. Her execution. Why now? I texted. Reply, because you're a mother now. Don't repeat my sins. I leaked selectively, enough to torch the network. Shield hail. Feds swarmed, headlines screamed, VC scandal. Body brokers busted. My name? Cleared. Positioned as whistleblower ally. But the cost? Sleepless nights. Baby kicking like judgment. Raj held me through it. Whispering futures. Mom visited. Hand on my belly. Strong heartbeat. Like yours. As snow fell again. Empire solidified, not flawless, but forged in fire. Controversial choices?
Plenty.
But in this land of second acts, revenge evolved from blade to blueprint. And damn, it felt like home. Spring bloomed tentative. Cherry blossoms dusting the high line like hesitant confetti. The baby's due in July, gender unknown. A wild card in our scripted lives. Hale Forge stabilized. Elena's faction purged. But the ecosystem shifted, competitors aping our ethics playbook. A Hale effect in VC parlance. I keynote at Davos via hologram, jet lag be damned, pushing equity in every algorithm, drawing nods from Gates and shade from Musk alums. Back stateside. The Reparations Fund dispersed its first million, scholarships for Echo survivors' kids. Clinics in Flint's shadows. Gratitude emails flooded, raw. Real. You gave my girl a shot. Worth every lawsuit. Every sleepless stakeout. Mom's role evolved too, shadow partner. Her village lay a war room of white bards and wine racks. We co-authored a book, Swap Secrets, a mother-daughter reckoning, ghosted by a New Yorker scribe. It hit bestseller lists. Polarizing as hell, Oprah Book Club Nod vs. Fox hits calling it family feud fantasy. Tours meant awkward hugs at signings. Fans probing. Was the swap real? We'd smile. Deflect. Metaphor for reinvention. Truth? Buried deeper than Dad's offshore accounts. Which I'd funneled to the fund, anonymous absolution. But ghosts don't stay interred. Crow's cell splintered. Remnants popping up like whack-a-moles. A swap clinic in Miami busted mid-procedure. Victim a washed-up actress, mid-upload. Feds looped me in consultant status. Priya vetting disclosures. Testimony in a sealed Miami court. Me recounting the Utah raid. Voice study under fluorescent glare. Jurors' eyes widened at the tech demos, helmets humming innocuous. Hiding horrors. Conviction stacked. Life for the ringleader. A Crow disciple with Dad's jawline. Like father. Like son. Mom quipped post-verdict. Over conch fritters at Joe's stone crab. Her laugh. Brittle. But shared. Controversy peaked with a birth announcement, ex-post of a sonogram. Captioned, Next-Gen Coder Incoming Hale Legacy. Backlash swift. Dynasty building on blood? Pro-life zealots picketed the office. Conflating neural ethics with fetal rights. I responded with a thread. Personal. Parsing my crash trauma. The pills that stole my clarity. This child's my redemption. Not revenge. Engagement soared, debates raging in replies. Philosophers versus
Pastors.
Raj mediated family dinners. His comma ballast. Let him argue. We're living it. Labor hit early. A false alarm at a Battery Park summit. Contractions faking me out amid keynote prep. True go time. Midnight rush to Mount Sinai. Raj white-knuckling the Prius through midtown gridlock. Hours blurred, epidural haze. Monitors beeping like buggy code. Mom paced the waiting room, chain-smoking menthols outside despite the ban. Dawn broke with a cry. Elias Freya Patelhale. 7 pounds even. Fists balled like tiny activists. Raj teared up. I held him close, naming him for the monster and the maverick. Twist on the knife, turning poison to purpose. Paparazzi swarmed discharge. NYC's welcome wagon for the famous, but security held, ferrying us to the brownstone. First weeks, blur of feedings and folds. Elias's wails syncing with my migraines. Mom visited daily, cooing in Yiddish lullabies she'd learned from a nanny, her hands gentle on the swaddle. "He has your eyes," she said one afternoon, rocking him by the window. Sunlight slanted gold. For a beat, we were just women, not warriors. But undercurrents stirred. A letter arrived, postmarked Aruba, Dad's old haunt. Inside, a faded photo of him and Mom, young and laughing, with a note in Crow's hand. The real swap? Love for legacy. Don't repeat. I burned it in the sink, flame-licking blue. That night, over takeout falafel, I confronted her. Was any of it real? Or just another deal? Tears tracked her rouge, rare vulnerability. All of it. Freya. The dosing?
Panic.
The crash? Cowardice.
But you?
My greatest investment. We cried then, ugly and unscripted. Elias gurgling oblivious. Forgiveness? Not quite. But truce. Tentative as spring thaw. Empire hummed on. Hail Forge acquiring a rival. Ethical audits standard now. Elias's first smile, gap-toothed grin at a mobile, felt like code compiling clean. Raj and I debated names for the nursery mural, algorithms in pastel, or Brooklyn Bridges. Mom gifted a trust, modest, earmarked for neural safeguards, her signature flourish intact. Twist's endgame unfolded quietly, a leak. Not from foes but friends. Priya, digging for a class action suit, unearthed the Reno clinic logs, Mom's neural map, partially intact. She could swap back, Priya whispered over coffee at Lopane. Temptation flickered. Give her the throne. Reclaim my unscarred youth? But no, I deleted the files. Priya nodding approval. Your call, boss. Years blurred. Elias toddling boardrooms. Raj CTO eternal. Mom a fixture at holidays, Thanksgiving toasts to twisted families. Controversies ebbed, scandals shifted to crypto crashes. AI doomsayers. My book's sequel? Fortunes Flip, Beyond the Boardroom, co-written with him. Crayon scribbles included. Ending? Debatable. Happy, a legacy redeemed. Sins laundered in progress. Tragic, cycles unbroken. Power's poison sips low. In America's endless remix, where Brooklyn dreamers topple titans, and moms morph to mentors, I'm the venture capitalist behind it all. Mom said I lack sense, now. Her fortune's mine to wield. And damn if it isn't the sweetest revenge.